mean by that? So when you see an individual with disability, you think, oh, now we say in Nigeria, hey, yeah, this person, we have to have sympathy on this person. Is not able to see, is not able to walk. They can't think straight. So you see people trying to sympathize with them as opposed to be empathetic. And I like to explain what being empathetic means. It just simply means I know there's a challenge, but we're not going to focus on that challenge. We're going to focus on alternative ways to ensure that you get what you need to do done. Another misconception of that I see is that a lot of individuals think that individuals with disability cannot live regular adult life or they can never be productive. So, for example, the idea of this person is living with disability, will he ever get married? Will he get a good job? Can he take care of? Can he even get pregnant? Or can they have children? And the thing, this I think this perspective came from the fact that people look at individuals with disability. They look at their disability first. If you notice, I use the word individuals with disabilities. I'm not saying disabled persons, because the language, the person first language is what is important. There's the individual and there's the disability. So it's always good to see that individual first for who he or she is, an individual who can think, because disability exhibits itself in several ways, but generally people just say, oh, these people cannot have independent adult life, they can't have good marriages, they can't get married, they can't have children. Another perception that the society have about them is that they can't function in a working environment. They feel, oh, these individuals, are you sure they can take up roles in a working environment? Can they take up employment? And I think the reason one to that is not perfect. I think it's because our educational system does not place so much value on individual disability. And I say this because thankfully I'm involved in a research that is ongoing about individuals with disability and inclusive education. And we realized from our research that individuals with disability are usually excluded from school, from being educated.
I was about to ask you, the reasons now, underlying reasons now behind stereotypes, negative, attitudes, including pity, like you mentioned, and of course discrimination against persons with disabilities in our society. What would be the reason behind all of this?
I think it's just a lack of awareness.
Okay.
So I'll use myself an example. The first time I met a person with disability, I was just curious. I'm like, will this child grow up being like this forever? With this child, and I found this child in a learning environment in a school. He was not participating like each and every child in the learning environment. And the question that came to mind was, will this child ever get educated? What does the future hold for this child? Because we all know that education is the pathway, to freedom.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this individual, what's going to happen? But looking at it the other way, based on the perception that people have, people will rather mystify what they cannot explain. Oh, these people, their disability is contagious. This person can, they just keep saying negative things about this individual. But if they decide to educate themselves like I did, I said, okay, what is this condition? Does it affect the person's ability to learn? Does it affect the person intellectually? Can the person, you look at the strength of the person and see how you can make sure the strength of this person is harnessed appropriately to ensure that the person gets educated. So I generally think it's a lack of awareness, knowing what it is. People see disability as the same, thinking, okay, so I've seen people who say to me, oh, this person doesn't look like a person with disability because it's not showing on the face. Because there's some unseen disabilities, that are some that are seen. So that ability to be able to pay attention to say, okay, what is disability? What categories do we have? How does it affect this person? And how can we ensure that this person is included in everyday life, in sphere of life, whatever it is we're doing, in every sphere of life.
All right, it's time for you to call in and participate. 0807 622 6771. 0807 622 6771. That's number for you to call on the program. We're talking about how to change the negative perception faced by persons with disabilities. And we'd definitely like to hear from you, because at the end of the day, we're talking to you. So we'd like to listen to your own perspective about the issue for today. Now, in your experience, how do you think this advocacy, now you mentioned advocacy to be one of the measures we can use to eradicate all the stereotypes and discrimination, how do you think this advocacy can get to the grassroots because some of what like cultural stereotype is very severe, in our rural areas.
Mhm.
How do you think this advocacy, all the advocacy sensitization, can really get to the grassroots so that it can be dealt with from the root to the top?
So basically, what we're doing right now is, I mean, awareness and advocacy talk about this, and I'm sure the station can get to the grassroots of this part of this world. Now, another thing we can do is to carry, when I say carry, take this information directly to where they are. Because there's something about, what ethnography is, being around the people, understanding what they're doing, and helping them to change their mindset. So you can't be up there saying to them, oh, don't look down on people with disability. This is what you should do. You used to be with them, go to their chiefs, go to their leaders, and help them in their ways. So, for example, if you went to maybe a Yoruba tribe, or a culture, Yoruba culture or Igbo, we should be able to find people who can speak the languages as opposed to speaking English to them, because disability is no respect of language, or I mean, barrier it doesn't hold whether you're Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. It cuts across different cultural background. So ability for us that we for we individual who have this knowledge, or who are advocating for this individual, be it private or public sectors, we need to come down to these people's level, speak their language, help them understand what is going on, and help them to understand that this disability is not contagious. There's good that can come out of individuals with disability. Not everyone with disability um, should be looked upon like, oh, this person cannot, nothing good can come out of this person. It's about knowing what is going on with the person, be it a physical disability, intellectual disability, whatever disability it is, and being able to find ways to accommodate, provide ways for them to express themselves. When I say express themselves, not just speaking vocally, but ability for them to showcase their talent and their strength. And that those, if we can see that, and for example we do this and we find someone who can say, look, I'm a person with disability. It's always also important when individuals with disability
Yes,
themselves
they
are a
can
part of,
relate.
exactly,
Because
in the disability space, there's something that says, there's a cliche that goes, there's nothing about us without us. So why we be talking, I'm a person without disability, I might not be able to drive the message home as much as that individual who is living with disability, who has done well for him or herself, to be able to speak to other individuals to say, look, this is possible.
a vital point there. 08076226771, 08076226771. We're talking about how to change the negative perception faced by persons with disabilities in our society. And our guest for today is Lola Aneke, an inclusive education consultant, a disability advocate, and the CEO to Cadet Academy as a comprehensive autism and related disabilities education and training academy. Now, what other measures can be taken on to reduce and gradually eradicate negative perceptions and attitudes in the society towards persons with disabilities?
Thank you for the disability. Again, sorry.
For the question.
the the policy
Mm.
against persons with disability.
Yes.
So we thank God for that, and there are several good points. Before I came here, I'm like, okay, this is good. We all know what is going. We know what is written in that that act. Is it an act, or
It's an act.
Is an act? Yeah, that's
Disability
act. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have where it's stated that buildings must be accessible for persons with disability.
Yes.
There are about at least 5% should be reserved for employing individuals with disability. Those are very good measures that have been put in place. There are several of them. But the question is, how is it being implemented? I hate to say this, coming in there, I was observing, okay, so where is? Well, thankfully, the last time I came here, I was wondering how a person with disability would be able to access this building, be it public or private building. But thankfully, I saw an elevator here, now. But how many buildings have that in this part of the world? And then the issue of even employment. I've seen people who, they even if they're employed, they are still being discriminated against, because you are living with disability, because you are blind. I think what we should do is to bring the message home. When I say bring it home, it's as easy as, yes, we have an act. How do we ensure that everyone understands the act? Break the English down. Take it back to our preschools. When I say preschool, our nursery schools, our primary schools, let's have it in our curriculum, so that when you see an individual with disability, you don't keep staring, you don't keep thinking. Imagine if disability is a course that just showed you the basic signs, the causes, and the basic things that can be done. the world will be a better place. Inclusion is already in place, you know. I won't be staring, I won't be thinking, oh, this person, which, like, people have that misconception that people with disability are, they are being attacked by evil,
Mm.
is it by witchcraft, with people, with by witches, and all of that, all the negative connotation that comes with it. But
Mm.
by the time I am in school or in class in primary one, for example, with a person with disability, and there's a course explains to us what Down syndrome is, for example,
Mm.
what visual impairment is, for example, and I see that it's caused by whatever is being caused,
Mm.
or how the person exhibits the disability.
Mm.
There's something about knowing what I'm dealing
Yes,
with.
it's registered in the mind.
Exactly, then acceptance begins to come in. And so, yeah, the policies, art, and all of that works. Like I said, we need to break it down as easy as possible. They need to bring it home to us in our various colleges, I mean, in our educational institution, from the elementary from the preschool, elementary to the secondary school, so that it becomes a norm. Nobody keeps saying, nobody's have wrong connotation about individuals with disability.
All right, 08076226771, 08076226771. We'll go on a quick break now, but just a reminder, on disability inclusion today, we're talking about how to change the negative perception faced by persons with disabilities. Do stay with us.